Prayer, and so the Lord be with you. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, source of all wisdom and understanding, be present with those who take counsel in St. Julian of Norwich Episcopal Church for the renewal and mission of your church. Teach us in all things to seek first your honor and glory. Guide us to perceive what is right, and grant us both the courage to pursue it and the grace to accomplish it, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. All right. Well, good morning, friends, and welcome. We're going to begin, as we do with our parish meeting every year, by reviewing our core statements. These are sort of our, we believe, discerned through prayer, God-given statements, purpose, vision, mission, core values, established at the beginning of our church some 16 years ago as the first gathering of St. Julian's took counsel and prayed and began to think about our future strategically. And so we review these, just so you know, at least the purpose, vision, mission, before every Bishop's Committee meeting. The Bishop's Committee is the chief lay leadership of the team. That language will change after we become a parish the last weekend of February to vestry, but it's the same thing. It's our chief lay leadership team. But at the beginning of every Bishop's Committee meeting, again, we review our purpose, vision, and mission. And the point of doing that is two things. Number one is that if we're going to be making a consequential decision in that meeting, we want to be sure it's rooted in our purpose, vision, and mission, right? That it reflects the intent, the God-given intentions of those core statements, right? They are our guiding light as we think strategically about who God's calling us to be and what God's calling us to do as a congregation. The second reason we do that is, because we actually ask people after we read each one to say something. Like anybody among the Bishop's Committee, there's 9 of them, can say something just one way. Generally, they are experiencing us living that out or seeing it lived out in their lives, our purpose or our mission or our vision, right? And so members of the Bishop's Committee will volunteer, and the person will go first and read the purpose statement and then say something about how they've experienced us living into that or it living in their own lives. And the purpose of doing that is this. If nobody among the leadership team can describe how we are effectively living out our purpose, vision, or mission, or how they're experiencing their lives, then it's, the barn is not necessarily on fire, but we do need to be paying attention to kind of where we are in our life together. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to review our purpose, vision, and mission. And I have no plants in the congregation. So this feels very vulnerable, right? So I hope somebody will actually do this. We're going to read our purpose, vision, and mission. And after each one, if somebody would like to say, just raise your hand, I'll call on you, stand up, how you have experienced this in your life. Like how this has come alive in your own life, maybe a situation outside of church, or in the work that we do together. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? All right, Jean. This is our purpose statement. Our purpose statement is why we exist. This is why St. Julian's exists. Now, I'm going to read it just because I'm at the mic, but then if somebody would like to share about this, a word or a few words or sentences, you're welcome to do that, all right? St. Julian's purpose. St. Julian of Norwich exists to be a community where God's salvation in Christ can be experienced and known. Experienced and known, all right? And what we mean by that is that salvation is not just about the future, not just about life after death. Salvation is about experiencing God's wholeness, healing, meaning, peace, shalom, right here and right now. Would anybody like to share how you experience this purpose statement in our life together or in your own life? Thank you, Laura. All right, there actually is a mic coming to you just so everybody can hear. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Good point.
I think that what I can relate to this most is that our universal following the scripture of love your neighbor and the word neighbor being a capital N, loving in our community, in our families, and welcoming to anyone who cares to be a part of our community.
Thank you, Laura.
No bounds.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love that. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead, Jean. And now I will read our missions, our visions to start thinking about. I always say if you're going to memorize one of these, this is the one to memorize, mainly because it's the shortest, but also because it comes from Julian's own writings. At the end of, I think it's chapter 2 of both the long and short versions of her showings, her book, Revelation of Divine Love, she asked for 3 what she called wounds, which I believe is medieval language for 3 things felt deeply. And the first thing she asked for was a spirit of contrition. And the second thing was a spirit of compassion, or a wound. And the third thing was a desire to seek intimacy with Jesus. All right, those were her 3 things. And so we've changed the language a little bit, and that's because, but basically we are trying to inhabit those ideas. And so growing in relationship, loving all well, seeking intimacy with Christ. So contrition, saying I'm sorry and you're forgiven, is essential to healthy growing relationships, right? Compassion, loving all well, and we didn't really have to change our language on the third one. Everything we do at St. Julian's, in terms of the things we do, are connected to this statement. This helps us avoid becoming an exploded pizza, right? So every ministry at St. Julian's anchors into one of these 3 ideas: growing in relationship, hospitality, evangelism, right? Loving all well, outreach, pastoral care. Seeking intimacy with Christ, worship, spiritual formation, right? I could go through all of our 25 or so ministries at St. Julian's, and each one would connect to one of these 3 ideas. Does that make sense? Okay. Would somebody like to share how you're experiencing this in your life, or have experienced it in us together? Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand there. Corey, please. Oh, wait, you're going to get a mic. Sorry. Like it or not.
My first time here at St. Julian's was doing a good time. I was seeking community, and it just reinforced that I was already held in God's dependable, loving gaze. And I did not expect life to change so drastically, but this place was a constant reminder that we are held together by love, even when things feel undone, when life isn't dependable to be happy and joyful all the time. We have a dependable community and place to come and feel presence of the community and God's love.
Thank you, Corey. It was beautifully said. Thank you. All right, Jean. Next is our mission. This is, I said that our purpose is why we exist. Our vision that we just did is like where we're constantly headed. It's where our sight is headed, who we're trying to always be and become, closer in relationship, loving everybody weller, and always seeking deeper intimacy with Christ. This third, St. Julian's, our mission statement is what we do. It's our work. And it reads this: St. Julian of Norwich is an Episcopal community whose mission is to offer worship, spiritual formation, fellowship, and service to all in Christ's name. Would somebody be willing to, or would like to share a thought about our mission? Yeah. I'm good at sitting in silence, I'll tell you that much. I know. I put you all on the spot. I didn't tell anybody I was going to do this. I'm sorry. Thank you, Nancy.
Iris planted. No, just kidding. Coming off the women's retreat from last weekend, like that hits every single spot. It was a wonderful weekend.
Yeah.
Getting to know people better and doing a lot of growth. So.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Absolutely. Amen. Okay. All right, Jean. I'm going to move forward with our core values. I'm not going to ask you all to reflect on these, but these are our core values. This is the essential nature that God has put in us, our charisms, who God's called us to be, okay? And the first one that was discerned, there's 6 of them, is sacramental worship. St. Julian's offers beautiful worship, deeply rooted in the Episcopal Anglican tradition that is at the same time ancient and future-looking. That's our first thing, right? We believe also that the sacraments are actual conduits of God's grace and Spirit in our lives. So when we receive communion here each Sunday, we are literally being fed spiritual food that shapes us in real ways and empowers in real transformative ways us more and more into the likeness and image of God in Christ, makes us more and more Christ's hearts and hands in the world. All right. Our second core value, openness to the Spirit. We encourage openness to the Holy Spirit to guide us as we grow in our relationships with God and one another. I thought Ewald's sermon today was awesome, and I think he sort of talked about that with us this morning. Okay, next one. Service to others. We receive, accept, share, and return God's love and blessings to all who are, give me the word, entrusted to our care, both within and without our community. That's small back there for me. I'm doing my very best. That's right. Next, mutual respect and trust. We are a community that demonstrates trust and respect for one another by willingness to share honestly, listen, be vulnerable, and negotiate differences with love and grace. So this is so essential. There's a difference between a healthy church and an unhealthy church. Every church finds itself at times in places of disagreement. Will it destroy you? Because negativity can just tear churches apart. Or will we learn how to negotiate our differences with love and grace? Right? And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. All of these things are a work in progress, please let me say, but a pretty good job of that. All right, next slide. Hospitality. All who God entrusts to our care feel welcomed and valued because we value difference and diversity as an opportunity to learn more about God and ourselves. All right. And then lastly, a multi-generational community. We value and seek to serve in our ministry all people, adults, youth, and children, by offering both age-appropriate worship and programs and opportunities to learn and grow as a community of the whole. This is why we did all of our games together, Porch Light Weekend together, right? Before we divided into two groups for the learning piece, right? That we learn together and we learn apart. I like to say our children are not just our future, they're our present. Okay. All right, so just some St. Julian's by the numbers. I have some membership and attendance numbers, and then I have some financial numbers. So here we go. And then John will be up with the budget after that. Okay. Total participation, about 460 people, members. I like the words participants better, but 460 people who call St. Julian's home. That's about 153 families. Okay. If you divide it by our average family size. And then you'll see that as broken down, adult 68%, children that's under 18, 17 or younger is 32%. By Episcopal standards, that's a gigantic number. And I will say we're aging. There was a time at which this was 45-35, right? And so we're aging a little bit. Something maybe to pay attention to. Women, 56%, men, 43%. That's true across the church. Women run the church, period. Amen. I'd like 50-50 just because, but, you know, I agree. All right. Since moving into our new church, about 16 months we've been here-ish. All right. So let's see, September, October, November, December, January, 5 plus 12, 17 months we've been in this new building. So 1 month shy of a year and a half. Our average Sunday attendance, that's what SAA stands for, has grown by 42%. Fall of 2025, that's this past fall, our in-person, online average Sunday attendance was 188. It was 169 our first fall in this building, the fall of 2024, and it was 133 our last fall in the old facility, if that makes if that makes sense. And so that's average, right? So we have lots of Sundays where it's over 200, but then we have Sundays like ACL weekend where we get 130. And so, c'est la vie. I like music too. All right. Our Easter Sunday attendance, that last Easter, which was our first Easter in this building, was 408 across 3 services. It was 301 was our total attendance the Easter before that, which was the last Easter in the old space. This Christmas, across our 4 Christmas services, our attendance was 521. It was 432 the previous Christmas, which was our first Christmas in the space. This year was our second Christmas. I'll also note, these numbers are important to pay attention to. They're not the most important thing. But I will just note that this was the first time at Christmas or Easter, this just a couple months, last month or whenever it was, Christmas, was the first time we'd ever crossed 500 in attendance at Christmas or Easter. So hopefully we'll do it again at Easter in a couple months. All right. Any questions about that before I talk about some financial numbers? Okay. This is really small, sorry. I probably need to start dropping off old years, but I do think the progress is interesting. So for 2026, our total number that was pledged to St. Julian's was $515,000 by you all. Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause. And I mean that because that was a 23% increase over the previous year. Those sorts of increases are also not seen in the Episcopal Church. And it really shows the growth, that 42% growth in ASA. But I will say that it wasn't all just new pledges. Almost everybody increased their pledge year over year, the returning pledges. So it was both and. Thank you. This was exactly what we needed, and I felt like it was a stretch, but we got there. So you can see the previous year, our first fall in this building, it was $420K for a frame of reference, if that's helpful. The other number may be worth looking at over there is our first full year in the previous location was $182,000. And so our giving has grown considerably. St. Julian's has been here for 16 years. Our giving has grown every year in 16 years, not always by 23%. But there's been no years over 16 years where it was less than the year before. Total number of pledges, you'll see there, this year it was 85, up from 77 last year. There were 17 new pledges for 2025, but of course we always lose some pledges. People move, and that just happens. Thankfully, from St. Julian's, it's rarely kicking and screaming, but still people move, and that's just reality. So we did pick up 17 new pledges, but you'll see really 8 is the difference between last year and this year. I really want to get to 100 on this number. That's going to make the vicar feel great. So hopefully we'll get there next year. It's a long time goal of mine, like that 500 at Christmas or Easter. And then lastly, you'll see our average pledge. That's just 515 divided by 85. $6,059. That's our average pledge, up almost $1,000 from last year of $5,185. This number is better than the diocesan average. So our congregation gives on average more than and it's significantly higher than the average in the national church, slightly higher than the diocesan average. Okay. All right, any questions about that before we move on? All right, let's see, Gene. Take us forward. One more. Go ahead and do it. John, I want to say, this is John Bindle has been our treasurer for close to 4 years. We try to keep it to 3, but with the transition to new building, he hung on a little bit longer for us to go through that transition to the new building slowly. But this is John's last event as our treasurer. And he has done so faithfully. He's done so through the move to the new church, which was huge. Lots of dollar figures and things to figure out with a $9 million construction project on top of our annual stuff. And so can we give John some love? He's going to take us through 2025 year of end and through the 2026 budget. I will note there's no action to take on this. In the canons of the Episcopal Church, our budget is approved by the Bishop's Committee or Vestry, and that was done in December. We always do that in December because I want to start the year with an approved budget because we start spending money on January 1st, effectively. And so this budget has already been approved. This is for your information, but we welcome questions. I want to say one last thing, and that is John's leaving, but we're not getting rid of the treasurer's position. I want to welcome Wright Meyer. Wright, will you stand up? Is going to become our treasurer for the next 3 years. And so, anyway, welcome, Wright. And John, come on up for your report.
Thank you, Miles. Well, we'll see. I noticed this morning that some of the numbers that should say 2020.
Okay. Well, if you need to.
Anyway.
Hopefully you'll see it.
Thanks. Yeah, Miles wanted to give me some credit, but it's really Miles has driven all of this stuff, especially during the construction phase and everything else. And I listen and answer. So last year, you'll see here the pledges that we had budgeted was $406,000. What we received in pledges is $369,000 in pledges. That's less than we budgeted. We budgeted less than the total amount pledged. And you know, honestly, that was a bigger shortfall in pledges than we have typically experienced. On the other hand, the plate income, which we had budgeted for $30,000, exceeded its amount by more than that shortfall of almost $85,000, and that really helped us come out evenly. The restricted gifts, and I think I got this right. That's like Cat Hollow reimbursement money.
Right.
Yeah. So that's some of that we were we had assigned that in the budget, and that's why it's 60 out of 60. Event income was $5,363, and that's for times when we either rent out the church or have big events. Generally, I think like Porch Light, we charged money. We also spent money. Our total income.
All outside groups. Well, it's our own people too. Like, just so you'll know, I'll say this because it's a plug. It's a great place to have a birthday party, or a graduation dinner, or whatever. All of that income is from not church events, either outside groups renting space for, say,
Piano recitals.
Piano
so we have
recitals
a
and
dolly
that
for the
sort of
piano
thing.
so they can move it around.
And then also our own people, again, renting it for things like rehearsal dinners. And so this is a good place for you all to use. And I will say there is a cost for parishioners, much less than what we charge people outside. This year we're hoping to get $10,000 of income that way.
Yeah, and that's through promoting it so people will come and use it. So our total income was $520, which you'll see basically matched our total expense owing to the way things came out. So our year-end balances, what we have in the bank, we have $92,000 in the operating fund and $770,000 in deep roots, and that's in both cash and investments like CDs and other high interest. All right, so next slide, income. Okay, good, you're already there. So for 2026, the pledge income that we're putting in the budget is, we just put it at an even $500,000. That's less than the total amount that was pledged. It's about 97% of what was pledged. Again, as you see from the past year, sometimes we don't get all of the pledges, but hopefully we will and exceed that number. We kept the plate offering in the budget at a more conservative value compared to what we received last year. Last year was just a lot more than we had typically received. We had been bumping it up. You'd seen last year in the budget we had $30,000 and we have $35,000 in the budget for this coming year, hoping that we'll have another good year, but not counting on that to make up the bulk of everything. Restricted gifts, that's reimbursement money. We sold our building on Cat Hollow, and we'd been paying that mortgage and all the condo fees and everything like that while we were still the owners of it. That has since been sold. You can drive by. They finally put new signs up for the people who have bought it. The next item here is a curate support thing. It says TBD because that is something that we're not sure we're going to have. If we do have it, that's going to pay for another TBD in the expense column. So if that works out, we'll have support. If it doesn't work out, then we also won't have all of that expense.
Just for new people, I'll say, just if curate means nothing to you, which is possible. So a curate is it's a priest, but a newly ordained priest, and so a curate is somebody who's just graduated from seminary and just been ordained, and they're a curate for their first 2 years out. It's kind of an opportunity for them. They are ordained, exercising ordained ministry in a church, but they're also still learning. And so there's a program that goes with that the diocese provides, that we're a learning community for them, right? And so we are exploring the possibility with the diocese of a curate being placed at St. Julian's this summer. And if that works out, that person would serve with us for 2 years. And so we'd have a third, Demery's in Peru, by the way. We'd have a third ordained person here, which would be really awesome, but we're still in an exploratory situation with that. We budgeted for it in case it works out, but it's still in an exploratory phase. Yeah, what were we going to? So yes, the diocese pays 50% is right, and so that's right, and so exactly, and so we would be funding the position entirely through grants, but anyway, yeah. So it doesn't really affect the budget if it doesn't work out. We don't get a curate, since all the money coming in for the curate were grant monies. The bottom line of the budget doesn't change.
There are a couple other things like office supplies, things like that.
We'll make a little bit of money if we don't have a curate. I'd rather have one.
Yes. The next thing you'll see is sabbatical grant. It's like, well, what's that about? It's like, well, Miles is owed a sabbatical. He has postponed his sabbatical because we were building and then moving into this new building. And so Miles is planning to take a sabbatical this year. He'll be gone like summertime. And during that time, he typically cooks a lot and writes poetry, I think. That's what he did last time. That's what he said he did. And travel. So that's a grant from the diocese that's $7,500 that supports him while he's doing that so that he can do something interesting and recharge. Event income, as we noted earlier, that's from renting out the space, and we're hoping to get $10,000 there, giving us a total of $632,500 for total income in the budget. All right, now if you go to this next slide, it says 2025, but I just noticed this morning that should be 2026. So the bulk of our expenses are payroll, and that's to pay the clergy and other staff that we have. And then next we have program and ministry, which is another $71,000, which includes those items that you see there. We also have to pay the diocese, and there'll be more detail on these in upcoming slides. Property, the Crump loan is a loan that we got. It's a 2% loan that it's really nice terms that we got, and we have to pay that back over time starting this year, and that is, was it 20 or 30 now?
It's $25,000 a year.
$25,000 a year, but we'll see that later.
That's our mortgage.
Yes, that is effectively our mortgage. The diocese paid a whole lot for this building. We raised money that we have to pay them back also, but this is the money that we got that enabled us to be here and basically have a mortgage, which is a lot less than we've paid for our previous mortgage. So $25,000, that works out to just over $2,000 a month for this space. Administration, that's all the other things that we have here. Continuing education, funding our delegates to diocesan council. Gives us a total expense of $631, which is basically the same at that at that level. It says a $600 surplus, but that's just because we picked those numbers for income that we're hoping to meet. We didn't want to reduce the pledge income by $600 just to make it come out to zero. Payroll is their biggest category, as I said before. We have childcare on Sundays and for other events. We have other lay staff who are besides our 2 priests, and that's $114,000. The clergy, which is Miles and Demery and possibly a curate, would be $265,000 in expenses, and then FICA taxes for payroll tax is $57.58, and that varies based on how many people we're paying. It's just a function set by law. On the next category, on program and ministry, that was the $71,640. So there you see we have music, our outreach budget, which includes things like our trip to Navajo land, hospitality, which is stuff like our coffee and donuts, mission and growth, which includes some things, events for promoting the church, and sometimes advertising, especially around Christmas, that sort of thing. And we have our ministries, church-wide events, things like porch light, which we try to charge for to make up some of the money. We have that in the budget, though, to be able to spend some of it. And then there's a big chunk for the Diocese of Texas, because we are we're going to be a parish in the Diocese of Texas, even before we were a parish. And when the diocese was supporting us, we still had to pay them an assessment, which was a portion of our pledges, or based on a portion of our pledged money. So we have to give them that money so they can do things like fund churches.
Yeah, I want to say one thing about that, because I just think it's just
They've given us a lot more than we've given them.
good for you all to know that, so yeah, that amount of money that we give to the diocese is set by an equation. It's less than 10%, though. It's like around 7% of our budget, which is a lower number than most dioceses throughout the Episcopal Church. But included in that number is the ministry of the bishop and the bishop's staff, and we're supporting all of that happening all over this diocese. But it also includes health insurance for clergy. So one thing you'll never see in our budget that this congregation has to pay for is health insurance for clergy or clergy families. So there's nothing in the budget for my health insurance or that of my family, for Demery or that of her family, or if we get a curate for his or her family. That is paid 100% by the diocese through the Episcopal Health Foundation. And it's a really incredible gift, right? I don't even know what the diocese pays my health insurance, but it's probably not less than $20,000 a year for my family. And St. Julian's doesn't pay a penny. I mean, that would be almost the $30,000 we're paying them just to cover my health insurance. So it's just an incredible deal, and just blessings to the diocese, and I just wanted y'all to know that.
Yes, health insurance premiums are expensive. If you're not paying thousands of dollars a month, that means somebody else is on your behalf, typically your employer. And we don't have to do that as Miles's employer, which is really fortunate. Property, that includes things like our Crump loan mortgage, which is the $25,000. We have insurance on this place. It was about $20,000, I think, at our previous location. It's $27,000 or $28,000 a year for insurance on this place. That's unfortunately, these are just costs that we can't control, so they're basically fixed. Maintenance and inspections, that's for maintaining the building, having the fire system inspected and everything like that, or fire suppression system inspected. Utilities, cleaning, and landscaping, that is something we can try to control. We had some issues last year with water mains blowing out, which cost us a lot of money. In both in thousands of dollars of wasted water, which is unfortunate, and other things like that. And then security, our security that we have, I'm sure you've all seen our security person, even though he's not dressed as a security person. But that's an expense that we added last year. Next, on administration. This includes supplies, diocesan council, as we noted before, support for that, continuing education, phones, mileage reimbursement, that sort of thing. It also this year includes that $7,500 grant. So that's why the continuing ed is higher this year than normal. And here we have a pie chart that just breaks down those previous slides that we had before. And you'll see payroll is the majority of what we do. We're mostly supporting our people, and then we're supporting the physical location. And ministry and programs are the things that we do, including outreach. And we try to keep the admin part low. That's just, things that we have to pay for to keep everything going. All right. On the notes. So one of the things, we're wanting Demery to switch to 3/4 time. She's been half-time, well, she'll be half-time for the first half of this year, budgeted for paying her. And then we're hoping and believing that we can have her become a 3/4 time employee mid-year. The curate, as we noted before, is both an expense and an income line. There's a little bit more that we have to pay just for administration for the curate, but most of that is funded by the outside grant. The columbarium is another thing we have, and you'll note here you can buy niches now for interment of your ashes or ashes of a loved one, and we also have plaques, but we're trying to keep that as a separate category in the budget, separate accounts. Right now, we're funding it through the sale of niches. That more than pays for, we have a loan that we have to pay for the columbarium because we added it on to the construction. And so we're funding that through hopefully sales directly related to it. We did increase, I already mentioned the sabbatical grant. We're increasing the salary of everybody by 3% for cost of living updates because that's just something we need to do to keep them up to date. It's more painful if we wait and don't do it now. So we're trying to keep up with that, and we can. And as Miles noted, the 500K is significant. It's the first time we've reached that number in pledges for our budget. And you already mentioned using the space. Are there any questions on this? The budget information is available to all members if you so desire it. We can get it to you on the details, as well as our monthly reports if you ask for them. And people can come to the BC meetings too. Yep. Where we discuss those. All right, thank you.
Thank you, John. So just, will you go back one, Gene? I just wanted to mention something. First about Demery, we'll be going to 3/4 time, July 1st. Demery, is half-time at St. Julian. She also still works at NIOS, the charter school, half-time. So she wants to be half-time right now. But she wants this to be her last school year at NIOS because she wants to work in the church full-time. So we were able to get her to 3/4 time in the budget. So July 1st, she'll start 3/4 time, and she's excited about that. And she probably will end up having to do in the fall semester some subbing and some tutoring to sort of fill in that quarter-time gap. But my hope is that we will get her to full-time as soon as possible. And I hope that will be January 1st, 2027. Then the next budget cycle is what I hope. So I just wanted to note that, because Demery is ready to be with us all the time as soon as we can afford to have her here all the time. Just a couple things. Gene, will you go back, Gene? I want to show you just two other like budget notes, then I'm moving on. All right, keep going back. Oh, well, go one forward, sorry. I don't know, for those who see visually, that's why I do this slide. But the thing I just would like to point out is like, I really see 94% of our budget is ministry, okay? It's either the people that we pay to lead ministry and plan ministry, the place from which our ministry launches, or the expenses related to doing those ministries. So 94 cents of every dollar you give to St. Julian's, in my mind, goes to ministry. And that admin number of 6%, although a good number for a nonprofit, is actually inflated this year a little bit because of my sabbatical, which I'm going to say a little bit more about in a little bit. But because we got that grant from the diocese and it's in administration. But it would be $7,500 less normally, which would have brought that down to 4 or 5%. And I don't need to go back any further. The only thing I was just going to say is this year, as John noted, our pledges were down a little bit. It was unusual. We do we watch these things closely. It was a combination of people moving during the year. Sometimes when people move, they feel obligated and want to finish their pledge out. Sometimes it stops. And that's just how that goes. And then, we just had, people lose jobs. We have, there are reasons for it. It wasn't although unusual for us, we normally get 100%. Like it all made sense when you looked at it. And so it wasn't concerning to me. And so we expect this year to get the 500 we budgeted. Hopefully we'll be back to normal. And then that plate just blew us away and it made everything okay. And I will say, lastly, that our expenses were higher, and that was related to two main things. Even though, again, it all worked out in the end, almost perfectly, the Lord provides. But one was adding security. We did not begin the year with a budgeted security item for 2025, and that was about $20,000. And we decided that was an important thing to do, and so now we have in-person security every Sunday and for other major events. And so that was a $20,000 unbudgeted line item. So that was one big driver. The other was what John mentioned. We had some water issues. I will say we've resolved them. So we had to put a pressure reduction valve in, but that should stop any future water issues on the property. So there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and push forward. Thank you, Gene. A couple slides. All right, so this is the next order of business. Our bishops committee, I mentioned, chief lay leadership team for the parish. The bishops committee, canonically speaking, the rules of the church, if you will, they are in charge of all of the temporal matters of the church, which is two big buckets, money and property, right? And then the vicar or the rector, the senior pastor, is in charge of all the spiritual matters of the church, right? Worship, formation, all the ministry we do, in charge of the staff, all of that. It doesn't work that way, right? The bishops' committee needs me to help them put a budget together, and I need them to help me minister to this church. And so we do it together. It's a team. And we work. We build consensus and decision making, and this group really serves faithfully. And so you'll see up there we have 9 members of the bishops' committee. They serve 3-year terms. They're all 1 year off. So every year 3 people are rotating off and 3 people are rotating on. We take nominations from the community, and then the bishops' committee puts together a slate so that we're electing each year at this meeting by acclamation the same number of people we have retiring. Does that make sense? There are different ways that the canons allow for this to be done. This is one way, and the way that we've chosen to do it. Another is everybody who gets nominated. We could sit here with our scantrons. Y'all remember scantrons? And be voting on people right now. Our opinion about that at this point is that when you have, say, 4 people nominated and 3 get elected, and that's winners and losers, isn't the best way to do that right now. And so we do this other process. And so where anybody can be nominated, and then we have a nominating committee via the bishops' committee to put together a slate of candidates for you all to elect by acclamation. So very quickly, returning for their last year on the Bishops' Committee, Ariel wave in the back. Mel, I'm going to come back to Mel wave, okay. Cara Beth is in the back, Cara Beth, yay. Let's see. Coming back for year 2 of 3, Courtney, I saw Will. Is Courtney here? Anyway, Courtney, Hampton, Ross is here because he's our BC person of the day. There's Ross. And Jen Philbrook. I saw Jen waving right there, okay? So, our 3 new members that we are now officially electing by acclamation. That's a round of applause, people. But before you do, let me name them so we can do it all at once. We're going to welcome Amanda Bindle, and come on up here for our new people. I'm going to make you come up. Amanda Bindle, Laura Howard. Laura, come on up. And Robbie Tomaszewski. This will be Amanda and Laura's first time to serve on the Bishops' Committee, which is weird for me that Amanda has not, because she's been a member of the church for 16 years, and we've existed 16 years. And this will be Robbie's, will be returning. It will be his second time to serve on it. All right, so now officially, can we elect them with a round of applause? Thank you. Thank you all very much for your service. We're really grateful for you to be here. Okay, and now we have a leader of, we'll go back one more, sorry, Gene. We have a leader of the Bishops' Committee, other than me, a lay leader of the Bishops' Committee that works with me to set agendas, is kind of the key counsel of advice for me when things are hard, when I need to really bounce something off a trusted person. That's this leader. It's called the Bishop's Warden. And this past year, it has been Nicole Lalonde, Nicole Wave, and she's been amazing. And we're gonna recognize them. And this year, I have asked Mel Bland to serve. Now, Mel, will you stand up? And Mel has generously agreed to serve as our Bishop's Warden for 2026. And I know we'll do so with a lot of kindness, grace, and wisdom. Thank you, Mel. Really grateful. All right. Okay, now we can go to the next slide, Gene. So I do want to thank the 3 retiring members now of the Bishops' Committee. I'll let you stay where you are, but I am going to ask you to stand. I mentioned Nicole. She has completed 3 years on the Bishops' Committee. Margie, if you'll stand up. And Jorge, I saw you. Yeah, Jorge, stand up. All right, can we give them some love? Oh, yeah. You do have to come up. I have something for each of you. And for John. John, you got to come back. We give to our retiring Bishops' Committee members icons of Julian. So I have one for each of them as a small for their time serving. Good. All right, well, let's give them thanks. And I will say, yeah, I mean, just to call Nicole out one more time, like it really, this first full year in the building has been wonderful and exciting and full of all kinds of challenges. And there just isn't every year. Like when you're in the position that I'm in, often like we're making decisions like and making choices that affect people in meaningful ways, and like just having a safe person who I really trust and who is wise. I can't tell you how much it's meant to me. And Nicole has just done it beautifully. And I'm just so grateful. And we'll miss you. And I know we're not. I mean, I know Mel's going to fill those shoes. But I just wanted to say an extra thanks, Nicole, for your time as Bishop's Warden. All right, next slide, please. Okay, just very quickly, we're pretty much at the end, which is good. We're on time. Just sharing with you, this is your staff, okay? These are, with the exception of Jack Ely, who we continue to pay nothing to do work here. This is your paid staff. These are that $114,000 in the budget for lay staff, and it's really grown over the years. And here is your, well, it's your clergy staff too, but all your lay staff is up here as well, right? Tony, who leads our adult spiritual formation. What a gift. We have a theologian leading our adult spiritual formation. We have the best adult spiritual formation in the church, but I'm totally biased. Jennifer Cowles, who's been so gifted, our longest serving staff member, that's not me, with our kids. Yeah, really, really. Elle, who's our youth ministry coordinator, he's done a beautiful job stepping in after Jonathan left to go to Good Shepherd. Our youth group, often when a beloved, and Jonathan was beloved, youth leader leaves a church, there's a serious time of rebuilding that's required. Our youth group has grown over the past 2 years, and I'm really grateful to Elle for stepping into the gap, and now for Demery for working with her. Nick, I think he walked out, but Stacy, that was so beautiful today. That song was just just perfect as we give thanks for the African American saints in our lives. That was so beautiful. Thank you. Nick just does a wonderful job, and he's a gigging musician too. He's like so many musicians. He has 3 jobs to pay the bills. I'll give him a plug. He also tunes pianos, so if you need a piano tuned, he does a great job. Debbie Dodds, who's with her mom, who's not well right now, but she puts together the slides, schedules our ministers of worship. B is our social media minister, B Wave, does an amazing job. Like I said, Jack oversees all things building related, and we still don't pay him, but thank you, Jack. Wave, Jack. In fact, he pays us to do it. Isn't that awesome? No, I'm kidding. That's right, I do. I'm really generous about that. I will say, we are working really hard to move towards a facilities person, a sexton at St. Julian's. I think that will be the next staff person added. And then Jack will have his first employee at St. Julian's, which will be awesome. Patricia Crawley, who is our just kind, generous, thoughtful wedding and funeral coordinator. If you know somebody who is looking for a place to be married, this is a beautiful church where people can be married. We want to work with people who are thinking about that. So, if you know those people, send them Patricia's way. And then lastly, our bookkeeper and administrator, Kim White, who really does so much around here. I don't know how we really did it before her. Okay, and then turning the page, Jean, these are our lay ministry leaders. There's more of them leading ministry in this church. I'm not going to read them all off, but there you are. Take a look of people leading ministry in this church. And if you're looking for a place to serve, right? The church is actually led by lay people. All lay people, by virtue of baptism, are ministers of the gospel. And the most healthy, highly functioning, effective, impactful, redemptive congregations are ones where every layperson has a ministry in which they serve. And so if you don't, I'd love to take you to coffee and let's talk about it. Maybe one of these would be a good place for you to serve. So read through them. There's more information in the weekly email, on the website and that sort of thing too. Okay, turning the page. Council, I've been mentioning it. I'll just mention it very quickly again. Diocesan Council, the 27th to the 28th in the Woodlands. We will become the newest parish in the Episcopal Church. Excited about that. That's been a 16-year goal in the making. My understanding is that the hotels are sold out, and that's a good thing. That means that, how many rooms did we have? 15 or 20. So all 15 of those were sold. So that means we're gonna have a good turnout, and I'm excited about that. I've heard that there is room at the Marriott across the street from the Residence Inn where we are booked into. If you're still looking, but yeah, Martha. I don't know. I'll find out and I'll put that in the weekly email. Really good question. Martha's asking if it's being streamed, and I don't know is the short answer, but I'll find out. I hope so. I'll find out. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, I've said a lot about it, so I'm going to stop there. Okay, I want to very quickly and in conclusion share some of my goals for the year. Just so you know, I share these goals at the parish meeting every year, and at the end of the year, I review the progress that we've made with the Bishops' Committee. It's a way for me to keep myself accountable as your leader and to give my ministry direction throughout the year. I cannot read that from here, so I'm going to do this. But this is the big one. There is a big one this year, and John mentioned it, and it's that I am going on sabbatical. Sabbaticals for a clergy in the Diocese of Texas are ideally to be taken every 7 years. This is significant time off for creativity and refreshment. In this diocese, that is really the point. There is no work production expectations, right? You don't have to go write a book. The idea is to rest and recreate so that you can come back to your congregations refreshed and excited for the ministry that you get to do in your congregations, okay? When I go in April, it will have been 9 years because of finishing the building 2 summers ago, and then onboarding Demery last summer. I didn't want to go without a second clergy person here. But I need to go. I don't think the bishop, he would be unhappy if I didn't. But I know I need to, because I love you and because I plan to be here until I retire, and I need that time. Okay. So I'm going to be leaving April 13th. That's a Monday, okay? So April 13th, sabbaticals in the Diocese of Texas, if you wait at least 7 years, are 4 months. Okay, so that's what it is. So April 13th to August 17th. So 4 months and 4 days. All right, it's just a Monday. It's a Monday to a Monday. And so just so you know, that's about 8 days after Easter. So Easter is April 5th. I'll be here for one more Sunday, just so you know, that Sunday that I'll be here for on the 12th. Kay Ryan, our bishop, will be here to confirm and preach, and then the next day my sabbatical will begin, and I will be gone for 4 months. Demery will be responsible. Demery and Mel will be responsible for the church in my absence. All right. And so that's the first goal I've been thinking is just getting ready for that. Lots of conversations that need to be happened, services that need to be planned. So we really, I've learned that when you leave to go for any amount of time, it's almost as much work as being gone. And so there'll be a lot of that happening between now and April. We're going to be looking at any structural or institutional changes that are required by becoming a parish. I think they're not many because we've been functioning as a parish really for some time now, but there may be some things for us to pay attention to. So we'll be looking at that. Be supporting the transition of our treasurer from John to Wright. I think one of the things that a new treasurer allows us to do and becoming a parish maybe requires us to do is to take a hard look at all existing financial practices and policies to be sure that we are doing everything as transparently and best practice as possible. So that's something we'll be doing this year. Working with staff on developing updated job descriptions, letters of agreement, reviewing compensation, exploring staffing for the future. So that's something we're going to be working on. While I'm on sabbatical, I'm going to be asking every staff member to develop their own job description. And then we'll be meeting to look at those, to be updating letters of agreement and being sure that our people are being fairly compensated. So we need to do some staff work this year. Continue to oversee Deep Roots, our capital campaign. I'll say about that. You saw the figure up there. We have $770,000 in the bank. That's all capital campaign dollars. It's actually over $800,000 now. There's about a year and a half left in that capital campaign for those who made a 5-year pledge to that campaign. We have every expectation we'll exceed our $1 million goal by that time over the next 18 months, and then we'll get to send $1 million to the diocese that they lent us in part to build this church, and I cannot wait to do that. That will feel so good, and the diocese can use that money to build other new churches around the diocese. But I will say we need to keep raising money. There is the columbarium that John noted that was not in the original scope of construction, and we added it for really good reasons. One, because there were loved ones in this congregation literally holding on to ashes waiting for that columbarium to be built. And if we didn't do it in phase 1 of construction, I didn't know when we would. And secondly, because our contractor was very clear that we would save over 6 figures if we did it while they were already mobilized on the property. And so for good stewardship practices and for pastoral practices, we built it, but we had to borrow money to do that. And so we are hoping to pay that off. And so more information to come on that. And the way to support that now, buy a niche. Buy a memorial plaque for somebody you love who maybe they're buried in New York City and you would like a place to see their name and come and sit in a memorial garden. Right? So those are options even now which help. Okay? We're going to, I mentioned the next thing. That's the columbarium piece. We're going to be working on our newcomers ministry, moving people from visitor to minister through our discovery classes, that sort of thing. Again, we're beginning to plan actually already for our next capital campaign, which is called Bearing Fruit, which will build 2 more buildings on this campus. I hope to be in capital campaign mode in 3 to 4 years. That's what I hope, not 9 or 10, but we'll see. All right, and then lastly, providing leadership for our staff, pastoral care, formation, outreach, worship, and preaching for a growing, alive, and active congregation of nearly 500 members. And I continue to serve on many boards, including Camp Allen, the Southwestern Association of Episcopal Schools, Life After Loss, Central Texas Interfaith, and West Southwest Industrial Areas Foundation. And I love doing that governance and board work because, one, I always learn things about leadership to bring back here, and because it gets our name out there. And so I think that's really important work to do. Okay, next slide. All right, I've shown this slide many, many times. It's a mosaic from Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. A mosaic of Jesus' face. And you know what mosaics, you know what they're made out of, like little pieces of things that come together to make a big picture? Glass, stone, tile, whatever they may be. So together, each of us is like a piece of mosaic, a little stone, a little piece of glass, whatever, that is coming together to tell a story about God's love in this world, paint a picture of God's love in the world. And it's beginning to take shape. I'm beginning to recognize Jesus or whatever it is of, but there are pieces missing to make that mosaic, fill it out, to paint that robust picture, something of God's love in the world. And so who is missing? Think about who in your life needs to be a stone in our mosaic, all right? And invite them to church. That's how the church grows. 97% of people come to church for the first time because somebody they love or trusted brought them, period. 3% come because they found you online. 97% come because somebody they love or trust has invited them to come to church. All right. Thank you. We need to break up for 11:15. Yeah, Mason? I did. We did it. Yeah, thanks. Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, thank you, Mason. Yeah.
I want to remind them that in 2011, you and I were in council together.
Yeah.
And we became a mission as we are right now.
Right.
In 2011. We were surprised by a standing ovation on the entire council.
Yeah.
We got a standing ovation, and I anticipate that we'll get a standing ovation.
I think so, yes. Yeah. Thank you, Mason. That's right. And I think that's for me, what stands out what he said was, you don't have to have been here from the beginning to come. We hope all of you will come, all right? I hope all of you will come to council as we become a parish. Okay, we need to stop because the next service starts 1 minute ago. So if you are leaving, please make your way to the exits. If you're an 11:15 person, I promise we'll start within 5 minutes. Thank you.